don't know how you deal with burnout.
Curl up in a ball in a little corner.
Literally.
So basically for me, the cycle is try to do everything, can't do everything, implode, curl up in a ball in the corner.
And rise again.
Yeah. Hello, and welcome to Be You. If you're anything like me, you probably struggle with overwhelm and everything in the world just piling on top of you. But we have a solution today. Hopefully, I'm joined today by Ebony.
Hello.
From Belle Being, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Would you like to let them know a bit about what you do and stuff?
So I'm Ebony. I'm a mental health nurse and a mentor. I've been a mental health nurse for about 3 years now, but I've worked in mental health for, about 11 years. But yeah, I love what I do.
Amazing. And so obviously with Belle Being, you talk a lot about mental health and improving mental health and getting clarity. So I thought you could help me out today, find some solutions for my turmoil when it comes to overwhelm. So like, I think a lot of people probably relate to this in life, you know, work, family, this, that.
Yeah.
Trying to stay on top of everything and then trying to do everything at the same time. So like, I mean, how would you define overwhelm first of all?
So I guess overwhelm is kind of feeling like you're buried under everything that you've got going on, almost as if you're drowning and you can't really see a way out of it and just not really dealing with it, I guess.
Yeah. So I think what happens to me when I find myself in that situation, it's often because I've stopped doing what I call the basics of my routine. So like, make sure I'm getting enough movement in my week, making sure I'm journaling, making sure I'm staying on top of my kind of task management matrix. So what happens is sometimes I've got so much going on that I focus on everything I've got going on and forget to focus on me. And then that kind of...
I know what you mean, like builds up.
The overwhelm. Do you have any advice on how I can try and stay on top of the things that help me or?
Well, even myself, I can get overwhelmed with things. And I guess what I tend to do is kind of slow down and just focus on things that you need to do for yourself so you're okay. I guess you have to make sure that you're okay first before most of other things. Obviously, there's other things that we need to be on top of, but we have to put ourselves first. So just spending time with yourself. Like you said, journaling is great. Writing down how you're feeling, like what's going on with you, what kind of emotions you've been feeling. Also, I know not a lot of people do this, but like prioritizing the things that you need to do and having some structure, because sometimes when we don't have structure, we're kind of just here, there and everywhere. So having structure is really important.
So how would you define structure? Because I guess that would look different for everyone.
Even just basically like planning your day. Say, okay, so today I'm going to do, say if you're overwhelmed by things that you need to do, so maybe, okay, so tomorrow I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. So then it's kind of creates some clarity in your mind. So, okay, today I know what I'm going to do. Like setting yourself little goals each day and just prioritizing the things that you need to do. So you don't kind of feel too overwhelmed and not applying too much pressure to yourself. I feel like these days we put so much pressure on ourselves and try and stretch ourselves to all these different things and people and places. So not putting too much pressure on yourself, just believe in timing and trust the process. Yeah.
Oh, I wish I had my other hoodie. So I got my BU hoodie, but my other one says, hold the vision, trust the process. I should have that on there.
Trust the process. It's so important. Yeah.
So obviously, to preempt overwhelm, I guess what you're saying is take a step back, make sure you're taking time for yourself and take it easy, so to say. But it's easier said than done with everything. So
yeah.
with everything pulling us everywhere, like, do you have any suggestions how we can take that time for ourselves? Like, is it a case of just being like, hey, I can't talk to you right now, come back next week?
I guess for everyone, it's different. Everyone has different ways of how they spend their time alone, or how they self-care, or look after themselves. So for some people, it might look like meditating, for those who meditate. I feel like a lot of people overthink meditating, and they think, oh my gosh, I need to put on this music and sit there like this. But really, meditating is generally just sitting with yourself with no distractions, and focusing on yourself, focusing on your breath, and trying not to think about the past, think about the future, just thinking about now and living in the moment.
Yeah, I think you did make a good point about the whole taking time and meditating and structure. The way I use structure, I use an app called Amazing Marvin. So I've like used all the to-do apps in the world.
Okay, yeah.
And that's the one that I landed on. I was like, yeah, this is the most versatile for my needs. It's so powerful. Like any kind of workflow, they have features for it. So
it's useful then.
Very. But then what I find is when I'm on top of using it, like I don't have the overwhelm, but it's like sometimes things happen. So for example, told you about the hospital situation. So that kind of took like a week out of my life almost.
Yeah.
And it's these unforeseen things, and then I'm not staying on top of my structure because these unforeseen things have taken me away from my structure, and that's when I find then I end up back in that overwhelm. But yeah, Amazing Marvin, when I am using it, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Have you found any tools yourself? Or
I haven't specifically. I mean, I do find journaling is really helpful. I mean, I feel like it helps to just kind of, for you to take a step back and just have a look at everything as a bigger picture. I find it really helps. And like you said, writing down things, like I love having a to-do list.
yeah.
Because I think my mind is so busy all of the time.
Yeah.
It's always thinking about things. I feel like I have some attention issues. So I have to write things down. I have to have a plan, and it just makes me feel a lot more clear. It's when things kind of keep coming in, when you're trying to do other things, or you forget something, and then it all just gets too much. So I think you, like yourself, a to-do list is really important, and journaling as well.
I think what they both do, like to-do list, journaling, there's a phrase called second brain, which is like your brain only has so much capacity. So it's like offloading as much of what's in there onto paper or whatever your preferred format is.
Yeah.
Just getting it out of your head kind of gives you that extra capacity to just stay on top of things.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, actually, because I feel like when you do write things down, even if it's just anything, the fact that you just write it down is almost like a release. I guess it's almost like when people are writing music and stuff, it's like a bit of a release, a bit of an expression, a bit of a release, and you just feel like a bit of weight has come off your shoulders. So yeah, I kind of get what you mean there. Yeah.
Perfect. So like one thing I find overwhelm is you can't separate overwhelm and burnout. It's kind of like they're like that in a sense.
Yeah.
I saw a quote somewhere which said, let me actually find it because I want to quote it accurately. So to know if you're dealing with overwhelm or burnout is the way to do it is check if you're trying to do everything, and that will be overwhelm. Or are you trying to avoid everything? That would be burnout.
So see, that's a good way of putting it. That's a good way of putting it. Because I feel like because I would say one way I'd probably deal with overwhelm is to just kind of leave everything. That's something I tend to do. I tend to just kind of leave everything and just take a step back. Like I said earlier about being consistent with social media, and then you kind of get to a point where you're just like, okay, everything is just a bit too much now. And then you just kind of don't do anything.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the ways that I probably deal with it, which I don't know if it's helpful or not. I mean, sometimes it's helpful for me, but I don't know. I don't know how you deal with burnout.
Curl up in a ball in a little corner.
Literally.
So basically, for me, the cycle is try to do everything, can't do everything, implode, curl up in the ball in the corner,
And rise again.
Yeah, basically. But it's we're taking the humorous side, but like it actually works because that's what your body needs. It needs rest. It needs time for your brain to recuperate, and reset and get back to the state of zen, so to say.
It does. I mean, sometimes we forget that we do actually need a rest. I think sometimes we feel guilty for having a rest because it's just like, oh, I'm doing nothing. I've got nothing to do. Like, you might feel lazy. You might feel like you're being unproductive, but it's needed. Sometimes it's okay to just have a day of not doing anything. Like, we need it.
So I guess I think the thing for us to do would be build rest into our routines.
Yeah.
Because I think that's probably what we neglect. We put everything into our routines. Do this, do that, family, whatever it might be. But we never put that pause into our routine. And I saw IG post said something like, the time to rest is when you don't think you need it.
Okay.
So it's like staying on top of your rest, kind of, you won't burn out because you're keeping yourself refueled. But I guess what we do is tend to let the battery run dry and then try to charge it as opposed to keeping it charged as we go along.
Consistently. Yeah, it is important. I just think sometimes we just get carried away with life and then we think, no, we're okay. And then you're like, okay, maybe I'm not okay. Maybe I do need some time away. But yeah, that's important what you said. Yeah.
So last time I kind of found myself in a state of burnout, someone said to me, I hope you're finding ways to look after yourself. And that kind of just went, right. So aside from kind of like journaling and stuff like that, what are some ways we can look after ourselves if we do find ourselves burnout? And
I think one of the most important ways is to exercise, which I know a lot of people struggle with. People find it hard to stay motivated to exercise and work out. But it literally makes you feel so good. Like when you exercise, or if you're able to go to the gym, go to the gym. That moment when you leave the gym, you just kind of feel energized, you feel good, you're like ready to take on the day. You got all the hormones, the feel-good hormones going. So I think that's one good way to feel good. I mean, personally, I'll go to the gym quite often, and one of the main reasons I go is because of the way it makes me feel when I leave the gym. If I start the day and I've gone to the gym, I literally feel buzzing for the rest of the day. If I don't go, I'll probably feel a bit more sleepy, a bit more tired. So I'd say exercise. Make time to do something that you enjoy. Maybe you've got a hobby, something you like to do, whether it's just play your favourite music, go and see your best friend, or go for a walk. Do something you enjoy doing, as long as it's good for you. I wouldn't say, go out and have a drink or whatever, but do something you enjoy. And also eat well. I think sometimes when we're burnt out, it's almost like we feel, I wouldn't say we're depressed, but we feel just low. Like we just feel like low in mood, and we'll probably turn to not wanting to cook or not wanting to make a healthy meal, ordering food. But eating well is very important. It makes us feel good and stops us feeling so sluggish. Yeah, so say exercise, diet, do something you enjoy. I think that's it. Yeah.
No, but I think exercise is similar to the whole rest thing. It's like finding the motivation to do it is challenging, but once you you adding rest and exercise both into your routine, just that maintains you for longer periods of time. Because I find when I'm busy, like walking is my primary exercise. I walk 8 miles.
I love to walk, yeah.
Gazillion miles, but not only is it meditative in terms, it gives me space to clear my mind, but keeps my body moving. So I find when I'm not doing just something as simple as walking, then everything else then starts piling on as well.
Yeah, it's crazy how just going for a walk can make you feel so good. I feel like I've gone for a walk and I feel like you come back and you feel refreshed, you feel energized, you just feel like, yeah, I did that, and you burnt some calories. So yeah, going for a walk is great.
Yeah. So would you say like the tools for overwhelm and burnout the same, or the differences?
I mean, there are some similarities, but I feel like with overwhelm, in my head, I'm thinking overwhelm comes before burnout.
Yeah.
So I feel like overwhelmed, there are some things you can do to prevent burnout. If you're starting to feel overwhelmed, there are steps you could probably take to prevent it. And then burnout is almost like you've reached your limit. Like
hit that brick wall.
You're done.
Yeah.
So then it's kind of about getting yourself back on track. So I guess there are some similarities and some differences with the two. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess you shared some useful tips about keeping active, exercise. I think we are like aware of these things, but we just don't incorporate them. I think that's the challenging part. Being aware is step one, and then finding ways to incorporate them is the second thing. So my takeaway from this is make space in your routine for movement, however that looks for you, walking, gym, weights, whatever that looks like for you. Movement, so keeping your body active, and also rest. Make space for rest, to recuperate, preempt overwhelm and burnout, and find a second brain, whether that's a piece of paper, an app, whatever it might be. Just get everything that's in your brain out, to give yourself that extra capacity. You know, actually reminds me of, for example, Steve Jobs wore the same thing all the time. But one of the reasons for that is it's one less decision you have to make in the day. So it's one less thing to think about. So the more you can get out, the more you can kind of remove from your plate in terms of the decisions you have to make. The freer your mind is for bigger decisions and handling everything. And one last thing as well, actually, on the topic of burnout, I remember this video, this comedian, he's talking about the anxiety he was going through. And he went to a therapist, and the therapist gave him a simple line, like whenever he's overwhelmed and overloaded with anxiety, just to tell people that his cup is full.
When she broke it down, she was like, listen, right now, your cup is full. She told me, I said, what? Your cup is full. You tell people your cup is full. I said, that's all I gotta tell them? They gonna know I got panic attacks? I just walk around saying my cup is full and everybody gonna leave me the fuck alone? Yes. You can't hold a bunch of information right now. What's gonna happen if I do? You gonna start doing this shit. I said, all right. So that's what I do. I tell people my cup full, dog.
It's such a simple statement, but it's actually just turn around and be like, you're not. My cup is full right now.
It's full now.
I'll once I've managed to tip a bit out, you can come and give me the extras, but my cup is full right now. And I think I found myself saying that to myself as well, since I saw that my cup is full.
It's full.
And when I realised my cup is full, just pause.
Yeah, because I think anxiety and overwhelm, they do go hand in hand. Because I think even when I get overwhelmed with things, I start to get a little bit anxious, because you feel like the pressure's building up. But I just think it's so important to not apply too much pressure to yourself, and also be wary of your relationships. Like, we might have relationships in our life where other people are applying pressure to us. It could be friends or partners, parents, whatever. And sometimes those relationships might not be that healthy for us, because they're demanding things from us and not really letting us have our time for ourselves. And so I think it's important to also have a look at the people that are around us who allow us to have that time for ourselves and don't put too much pressure on us as well.
Amazing. So you mentioned anxiety. Maybe that's a topic we can talk about in a future video, hopefully.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
But yeah, thanks for sharing your insights.
You're welcome. Thank you
Let
very much.
everyone know where they can find more about you, to connect with you, all that good stuff.
So I'm on Instagram. It's @_Belle Being _. That's me. Yeah.
Well, definitely check her out. She's got amazing content on mental health, loads of tips, advice that you can take on to kind of make your life a little bit easier to get through.
Yeah.
Just a tad. Well, catch you next time. Thank you very much.
Bye.